I'm Sonia Azad. Welcome to The Shift, a place to inspire growth, resilience, and wisdom, real connection, healthy conversation as we navigate life's changes and challenges together. Because, as I like to say, we are all each other's teachers.
Thanks to our friends at the Vineyard at Florence for making this podcast possible. Hair and makeup generously provided by Glam House Collective.
Hi there, I'm Sonia Azad. Welcome to The Shift. We're at Dallas Irby today, and I'm with my friend and my teacher, Yvonne Futch, who's a Reiki master, teacher, and practitioner. It is an honor to be here with you today.
You as well.
It's great to see you. I haven't actually seen you in person in a long time.
I know, right?
So yeah. I am starting each episode just by asking guests, how are you doing today in one word?
Actually, terrific.
Terrific. Actually, terrific. You seem surprised for me.
Terrific.
I love that for you, and I love that for me, that's the energy you're bringing here today. So I wanted to take an opportunity to share more about Reiki with people who either have never heard about it or maybe some people who've dabbled, but they want to understand more how this works. And within the framework of alternative healing, right? And I say alternative because it's not like a prescription that you get, like here's, get Reiki done. But we're starting to hear a lot more about it these days, right?
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of buzz out there. Some of it fad, like a fad going on.
Yeah. So what is Reiki for people who are like, what is this?
So Reiki is a Japanese modality derived from Japan. The word Reiki means universal life energy. And so the founder of this, his name is Dr. Mikao Usui, and he was the one that brought this into light. He had a spiritual awakening. He wanted to develop a modality that was accessible to every single person in this world without attaching religious beliefs or religion to it. And so when he did that, he went for a 21-day to Mount Chimera, and he was under meditation. Actually, he practiced Buddhism for a while and some martial arts, and he's actually a doctor as well. And he wanted to have something come to him where it would benefit everybody. Then he had a spiritual awakening on the 21 days, and he got some Sanskrit words. So these are what we call attunements when I am teaching level 1 and 2 for students. And so he brought it back into Japan, and his first clinic was in Tokyo. So it's beautiful, and he joined with another doctor, Dr. Hayashi, and they developed this clinic together and started teaching and practicing this.
And would you describe how it looks? Because it's not like you don't have acupuncture needles, or you don't have, really there's nothing.
Right. So he developed this as a healing relaxation modality. So where it would balance your mind, your soul or your spirit, and your emotional state. So the practitioner acts as a conduit, a vessel for that energy when touching the individual or hovering the hands. It doesn't have to be hands-on. So with this, it creates new blood cells, white T cells to be exact, and it unsurfaces things that people have buried in their body in reference to stress. So it's a stress reduction, really, at the end of the day, where you're moving blood, like if you're getting a massage or even if you're getting acupuncture, right? So you're firing up the meridians in your body, in your systems. With Reiki, it enables to go in there because it has its own intelligence. And so it's directed by one's higher self, right? So they're actually doing the healing while I'm just actually, just placing my hands where they're directing me to go on a unconscious level or conscious level, really.
Yeah. And I think for people who are hearing about this for the first time, they might be like, well, I'm not buying into that. That sounds like voodoo.
Right.
What do you tell people who are skeptical and go like, that doesn't make sense. How would that work? Me directing you to put your hands somewhere and then that's going to heal me, right? Like, so that's the skeptical voice.
Right. And think about it, in that realm, because I do get people, I always invite them to come try it. And I don't describe it until after the session, because you have to feel it to understand it and to believe it, right? And also, it also creates that self-awareness in your body where you are holding those stressors. So a lot of people have their own spiritual awakening, or like, oh my God, I haven't thought about this, trauma, for 10 years or so, right? So it starts to unleash, I always call it Pandora's box, that is hidden in our bodies, that we're unaware of, because we live in a society where everything's fast-paced and no one slows down. So this is a way to slow down your mind, slow down the body, and honor yourself for my sessions are roughly an hour, just to create space for yourself to kind of get back in touch.
I've had conversations with people specifically in my Fitter Together group who maybe have a diagnosis, let's say rheumatoid arthritis, or something where you're dealing with the body's immune system attacking itself, right? And they are often prescribed anti-inflammatories and no movement, or don't do this, take this medication. And I sometimes wonder if they're open to it, if Reiki a couple of times a week could help.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So for people, I would say, in reference to that, it does build that immunity. So if they're taking meds, whether it's 1 or 5, with Reiki, it lessens the blow for the long-term effects. Remember, any medication out there is served for that moment, right? Not long-term. So with Reiki, it will aid and soften the blow, and also aid in their healing process. A lot of people want it instant, and with Reiki, it's kind of like, oh, I feel this today. I haven't felt this way in a long time. It's all, like I said, it's all about the feeling, and I don't know how best to describe that until you
feel it.
Yeah,
it's true, because when I took your training, something I just was aware of at that time in my life too is that we do so much thinking. Like I always tell my yoga students, we're operating from this part of the body for most of us and most of the day, and then that becomes years and time, instead of from this part of the body. And I think that's what Reiki does, is it almost forces you to feel.
Right, and silence, right? And silence you to be still.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, with people that don't like to have touch or like a massage, this is a great way. Everybody that doesn't like touch that have come as my clients say this is the best sleep they've had, within that hour, and
does it still work if you fall asleep?
Oh, absolutely. It's going to go, like I said, it has its own intelligence, and Reiki knows where to go. Right? So some people may or may not feel it. That's just, they will feel it because it might not be in that same moment. It could be within 24 hours. And to me, Reiki is like, at the end of a session, you're like a human snow globe. All the energies, maybe if you have trauma buried in one of your systems or a part of your body, everything starts to surface. As we age, we really want to be mindful about lessening the baggage that we store in our bodies, in our mind, and in our soul. Really, that's that whole connection of mind, body, spirit, right? When everything's in balance.
Yeah.
Well,
and my friends who I've introduced to this practice, like some of them have left and they're like, yep, that was fine. And then they're like, I'll get a text later. I cried all the way home and I don't even know where that was coming from, but it was just emotion that felt like it was unleashed or unlocked somehow. And so that to me is like, yeah, the practice that you just experienced. There's something deeper. So if you're then curious, you go back and you kind of unearth more.
Right. And, and we store things from in the womb up to your present age that we're unaware. We're like chewing gum. Things stick that we're unaware of until we become silent. And this is what Reiki can and will aid in with. And the individual does their work. I'm just a conduit, right? Guiding them, just like, counseling. You just guide them to where they need to go.
Well, I love your story too about how you came to this practice, because I think a lot of times we see our teachers and our guides as these like perfect individuals who just like floated in and float out. But you're very honest about like, hey, this is what, led me to this. Do you mind sharing that?
Oh, no. So I grew up in San Francisco. So a friend of mine called me up and she's all like, hey, you want to go check out this thing? It's Reiki. They're having like some mock sessions at the Full Circle bookstore in Belmont, California. And I said, what's Reiki? So I ended up going, I'm all like, okay, why not? It was Thursday night. Okay, let's do this. And so I went and actually ended up being my Reiki master's teacher, Terry Atwood. And so it was very fascinating. So a sidebar, I was in the interim of like, oh my gosh, I have to quit smoking. Right? I was one of those ones that would go out and light a cigarette, going out to the bars and et cetera. Right? And so I knew I'm all like, yeah, I got to quit. That was in the back of my unconscious mind. Right? And so when I went to this, it was fascinating, the description of it. And I'm like, So, she comes with her hands, does what she does we got probably about 5-10 minute session. And at the end of it, and my friend asked me, she goes, hey, Yvonne, how was that for you? I'm all like, interesting, let me process this. So I got in my car and traveled. It's about 20 minutes to San Francisco from there. And got in my car, the first thing I did was light up a cigarette. And then I started gagging, and I'm like, no way. And then afterwards, I tried again, and I just gagged. And ever since that moment, I never had a cigarette. So I knew there was something to this.
Yeah. And like, obviously everyone's experience is different. So maybe it'll take a couple of times for someone to connect with the practice, or does it work right away, do you think?
It depends, like I said, Reiki has its own intelligence. So things are going to surface when they need to surface. So that was mine already, kind of like in that back, that back of my brain, like this is on my to-do list, right? So, I think it prompts you to do things that you've been wanting to create change in your life with.
Yeah. And in addition to performing Reiki on people, you can infuse food with Reiki. You can kind of do so much that I think a lot of people don't recognize or realize. What are some of the ways that you do that?
Oh, yes. So that's with level 2 training. So not level 1, level 2. And you can incorporate. So when you get attuned, you learn the symbols. And so you can, put that energy into your water. We do a water testing and then you could see the difference of the texture. Right? Even in your food. I always tell people you could put in your junk food. It's endless. You could put in your crystals, in your home, the door wells. I always like one of the symbols on the door well as a protection. It's like a spider web, I call it, that leaves out what doesn't need to come in. And so it's a wonderful, you could put it in your plants. I have master landscapers that have taken my training and they put it in their crops. What a beautiful thing with all the things that are being injected with our foods.
Yeah.
This is just another way to detoxify and take health into your own hands.
Yeah, literally, because you can perform Reiki then on yourself too, which I have done, and I got up too fast. Like I literally stood up too fast, and I had a crick in my neck, and I'm like, I think that was because the energy was still moving. Yeah. Right. And I moved too fast. And that is when I started really believing in it. I mean, I believed in it, but when I felt it like in that way, that I hadn't experienced, I'm like, what just happened? I want to talk also about the concept of energy, because while it's pretty commonplace to say, I don't really like her vibe, or like, there's a weird vibe in this room, or I don't like his energy, right? So people say that.
Right.
But are we yet to the place where we believe we can control our energy and we can move our own energy in order to show up in a space where we're attracting others' highest goods and our highest good as well? Like, have people bought into that idea yet?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So that's also about setting the intention. You know, every day I set an intention, every single day,
Yeah.
whether it's with the trainings, even today, you know, to how things would go, right? And that's also setting the energy tone. So it works, even, you know.
What do you do to set your intention? Like, what does that look like for you?
So in the mornings, you know, with my job, if I'm on call, I'll set the intention that today will be smooth from 11 p.m. to 8 a.m. There will be no issues or concerns. If a child comes in, I'll find placement, and it always happens. And then I give gratitude, and I thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
And I set that.
One of the things I started doing more recently, probably in the last couple months, month or so, is I set the intention, but I use a word. So it's almost like a theme of the day in my morning practice. So like, and whatever comes is just what it is. I don't try to intellectualize it or like grab for a word. So whether it's peace or serenity or passion, ease, whatever it is, you know, like that is kind of the theme of the day. And that's my energy walking into the day. Because we get yanked around so much, and you talk about this in your trainings too, is don't let other people's energy become absorbed into you, and you're like taking on all of their energetic junk.
Right, yeah.
How does Reiki protect us from other people's energetic vomit, is what I call it. Like, don't energetically vomit all over me.
Well, so you know, we're all empaths in, you know, different degrees, right? So you pick up on that right away. And for me, when I walk in a room, I assess. I'm not gonna lie, when I go in, I don't care if it's a training or a dinner, I'm already assessing who I'm going to sit next to, because you could sense with the body language, kind of who's around, the movement. I don't know. It just you can
You feel it.
You really can feel it.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm just like, I energetically put like a boundary around me, like I call it the pink bubble, that nothing will penetrate. You know, that's not good for myself, others in the universe.
My friend does this with her kids.
Yeah.
Every morning she does what she calls a rainbow bubble cloud or something like that.
Oh, that's
and
cute.
yeah, I thought it was so cute.
Cute.
And, you know, just to make them feel peaceful and protected, and to kind of already teach them the different energies that might be associated with their day, and how like not all of it has to be absorbed by them.
Right.
Yeah.
And we could pick and choose, right? We all have choices. And that's the thing where people forget that you have a choice. You could sit over here or sit over there. You could say no and be okay with it.
Yeah.
You know, I think in today's society, we're implanted with a lot of guilt. Always say yes, you know, be mannerful. And there's, you know, there's a respect, but you don't have to compromise self, is my point.
Yeah. What do you want people to know about Reiki that maybe is either misconception or just a common question you get?
It is not a religion. There is no religious. It's whatever your beliefs are is what it is, right? And for me, Reiki is your healthcare moving forward. As we age, Medicare, when I tell you they have supplemental A, B, and people have to get private insurance. I've had a few health issues, and by me having the Reiki energy in me and as a practitioner has made me challenge the Western doctors of what my body is going through. We're not cookie cutters. This is really taking charge long term. So I always tell people, invest in yourself. Try Reiki, try all these beautiful modalities that are out there, because we need both Western and Eastern combined and not just all in one thing. And you got to trust yourself. There's a lot of mistrust of self, like, oh, the doctor knows best. Oh, he graduated from Stanford. They're humans. All humans make errors, right? But the person that's going to know is within yourself. You are the master of your health and your future and your life. We have one body, one time on this planet.
Yeah, and this is really something that's for, I would say, the benefit of the mind and the body, you physically, but also, like you said, then it's, on a soul level.
Absolutely.
As well as for the benefit of others, because how you're showing up.
Right. It's that trickle down effect.
Yeah.
If I'm in a bad mood, sure, I'm going to make that other person like, ooh, stay away from her. I don't want to be next to her. And doing this, it's just good for the planet, for all things in this world.
Yeah. Thank you so much for teaching us a little bit more about Reiki.
Yes.
And I hope to see you soon. And I hope that if you all have questions, want to share your comments about this interview or contact Yvonne, go ahead and type that in the comments section. I'll make sure to connect you. Share, like, and subscribe. Always appreciate it. I'm Sonia Zod. We'll see you next time on The Shift.
This podcast is sponsored by our friends at the Vineyard at Florence. Inspired from a trip to Tuscany, the Vineyard at Florence was born, establishing a beautiful destination of authentic Italian pastoral culture, creating fine wines within a unique resort in the world-renowned Texas Hill Country. Nestled in 600 scenic acres, just a short drive north of Austin, the Vineyard at Florence is ideally placed to experience your wanderlust. For more than a decade, they've toasted happily ever afters, created spaces for businesses to collaborate, and celebrated life's milestones. Their catering and events team can't wait to plan your next social or corporate event. And don't forget about our friends at Glam House Collective. Let's get glam.